Lovely. Good morning and welcome to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Wednesday edition, governance, policy and politics is what we focus on today's edition of the program. I'm Patrick Soko, your usual host, and I'm not alone. I am with my colleague Makokwa Kozi, and together we're with you up the hour of 9. Good morning, Kozi.
Good morning to you, Patrick. It's a beautiful morning indeed. Positive vibes as usual.
Yes, positive vibes. Yes. So how are you motivating people to join the vibe?
It's another day. Forget about what happened yesterday. Yesterday has little effect on today. So the most important thing is to make today count for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes. So let's stay positive and make sure that we give whatever we are doing our all.
Interesting.
Yes, we are tapping into Miriam's positive vibes. So
Indeed.
Make sure that we always remain positive.
Yes, we have to remain positive, optimistic, because negative thoughts can undermine your potential and ability to do things that you're supposed to do as a person. So every time we wake up, let's forget yesterday, like Coach said, and think about today. Because today has more to do with the future. How you live your life today overall determines what the outcome may be for tomorrow. If you work hard for today, who knows tomorrow? You may need not to work because you have worked it out and managed to get enough to sustain yourself. So let's always keep it up positive. To just get started, we have to look at the health corner with the doctors. Let's keep it on Camnet TV and we'll continue interacting, especially those of you who are joining us on our Facebook page.
Good morning, viewers. I'm Dr. Mutinta Muyuni, gynecologist, and I'm continuing talking to you about the menstrual cycle. Today, we are going to look at self-care, what to do about our plumbing. I call it plumbing because that's my secret way of referring to the cycles. So, what to do then? How do we look after ourselves during the menstrual cycle? We talked yesterday about some disorders like lack of periods, frequent periods, heavy periods. But even just normal monthly periods require you to have an understanding of how to look after yourselves. Let's go from top to toe. Our emotions, mood swings during the menstrual cycle. Let's be cheerful, ladies. Let's be cheerful, girls. We know this cycle happens every month. So let's not snap at people. Let's try and contain everything as long as we understand that the reason we are in this predicament is variation in the hormones. Going down, we may have breast pain. A good firm bra or support will help minimize the pain of the breasts. And even supplements like evening primrose oil will help ease the discomfort from the breast pain every month. What about things like period pains? We don't always have to use medicine. A hot water bottle, for example, take care, don't burn yourself, will apply to the stomach. A good hot bath will ease the cramping quite significantly. Where does the cramping come from? The uterus squeezing and contracting to release the menstrual blood, and the contraction of the blood vessels or constriction of the blood vessels as they try and minimize the bleeding from the shedding of the lining. So understanding that ease your discomfort. I've heard a lot of girls say, I'm not going to take painkillers because it's going to make me infertile. That's so untrue. Ease your discomfort, because sometimes the pain can be so dramatic. You can't walk, you are vomiting, you can't do anything. Take that painkiller. Get back to work. Get back to school. Let's participate meaningfully in our national development. We are going to take part and do our role as women in this national cake. So take those painkillers if you have to. For the vomiting, you can take nausea medication that can be advised, either at your pharmacy or at a medical facility, just to curb down and allow you to eat during this period of time. If your bleeding is heavy or your periods are frequent, you don't want to reach a level where you are passing out or feeling dizzy, getting headaches. Take blood booster syrups. Eat foods like spinach, wondwe, calendula. If you have some liver, fresh fish, boost your diet so that your blood level can remain high, and even after the periods, you'll be able to have a good hemoglobin level or a blood level, and you'll be able to be active as usual. Take care, girls. This is one of the main issues, anemia resulting from heavy periods. Let's look after ourselves. Let's talk to each other. Let's share the information. Let's manage our periods. Hygiene. Let's change our pads if we have some, or a clean cloth that we can use with our panties, and change it frequently. If we are using washable, wash the washable pads, dry them out in the sun. Don't hang them in a damp place where they may result in fungal infections or itchiness down there. If you are wearing disposable pads, change them frequently. If you are using tampons, don't wear them for longer than 12 hours. Please take care of yourself, because this is a normal part of life. Let's embrace our womanhood. This is Dr. Mutinta Miuni, gynecologist for Medical Women Association of Zambia. Till tomorrow, take care.
There you have it. That was the Health Corner for you. Interesting topic that we have been looking at, and I hope you did manage to learn one or two things. It is important, and as always, we do advise that you can also recommend some of the topics that you want to be tackled on the Camnet Breakfast Show. And it is important that you tell us, you give us feedback on the Health Corner as well, so that we can always see and bring the relevant stakeholders to just advise or give you some tips on some of the health related issues. And we'll be glad to hear from you, our dear viewers. Interesting. So that was the Health Corner. But right about now, we have to go straight into the money market so that we understand how our kwacha is performing against other major convertibles this morning. Let's have a look. So now $1 is buying at 21 kwacha, flat, and selling at 21 kwacha 42 ngwe. The great British pound is buying at 25 kwacha 40 ngwe and selling at 25 kwacha 91 ngwe. The euro is buying at 22 kwacha 01 ngwe and selling at 22 kwacha 45 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 09 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 11 ngwe. So now my particular interest is on the buying aspect of the kwacha against $1. Has also hit a 21 kwacha mark, but we had seen it trying to go back, cozy. So this update has been made today on the 4th of October 2023 at 07:11, and it varies from one financial institution to the other, from one bureau to the other, but the changes, the differences are not significant. They're just cents. Sure. So now, but if you look at how it has been now, cause yesterday it was on 20 kwacha on the buying side, but now it was 21 on both ends. And if we are not careful on the other aspect, it may likely to go to 22 kwacha, and that's something that we would not want to see, because that will be a reflection of how bad our economy is performing. Now, we were presenting the 2022 national budget as of last week, and that was Finance Minister Dr. Stombeko Musokotwane, and we saw that quite a number of ambitious measures, and we still see that the government is still targeting to have inflation in check within 6 to 8% of But however, with what we are seeing like this, prices of commodities continuing to increase, it is a reflection of how inflation has been. And we saw that the Central Statistics, or the Zambia Statistics Agency, ZAMSA, also did announce inflation figures which hit 12% from 10.8%. So it has been a reflection of how things bad have been in terms of the prices of commodities. So this is something that we need to see and look at critically. And if we have to really make progress as a country, inflation must be kept in check. But how are we going to keep it in check when we are seeing that the prices of fuel, COSI, continue to increase? Because fuel has been said to be a determinant factor most of the times.
Sure. And remember last week when we were looking at the money markets on Thursday, we were talking about, we did predict an increase in the prices of fuel because of how the dollar the kwacha was performing against the dollar. Then I think it was at 19, headed to 20. And this month, yesterday you say it was at 20, and today we are at 21.
Exactly.
It shows that the upward trajectory has continued, and if it continues like this, we expect another increase in the price of fuel. And we are now at almost 30 kwacha per liter. 100 kwacha gets you 3 liters. It is one of the major economic drivers, the price of fuel. It determines how prices are pegged of these essential goods. And already citizens are complaining of the high cost of living, and minimum prices are skyrocketing. So we hope that the measures that have been put in the budget really in 2024 will work to our advantage, because currently as things stand, I think we really need to work hard as a country, otherwise it will be unbearable.
Indeed, we need to work hard is the right term there, COSI, because as things stand, it's not going to be easy at all if you see how the economic fundamentals are pointing at. And we need to familiarize ourselves with some of the new tax measures that have been put in place by the government, especially by going to the Zambia Revenue Authority website. You get to know some of the taxes that are coming into execution. So if some of the taxes, we've seen that changes, for example, where non-alcoholic beverages, there's a tax that has been increased there. We see also on clear beer, some of the taxes are changed. So all those aspects are going to matter at the end of the day, because these people manufacture these products, they tend to transfer the burden to the consumer. So the focus is usually, okay, if you give it to us, we'll give it to them. So at the end of the day, ultimately, it is the consumer that has to pay more now. In this economy, paying more when most of the times we have seen that the salaries of the people have been stagnant for a long time. I think we need to make sure that if prices are increasing at this level, even the salaries should be increasing at the same pace. I think that helps people to be able to have a cushion in terms of some of the shocks that can come their way. But in an event, your buying power is the same, but the prices of commodity is increasing, it becomes difficult for you, but you have no option but to reduce further and further and for supplements. So that becomes really a very difficult challenge that we need to overcome as a country. But overall, it requires hard work, and hard work is something that we need to see collectively as a country. But as citizens are tightening their belts, our leaders also tightening their belts. Those are some of the things we need to be interrogating. What are they foregoing? Because citizens have already been tightening belts ever since even under the PF administration, we were being encouraged to tighten our belts, to move away from bread to kandolo, to do ABCD just to survive. But are they tightening their belts themselves? The people who have put into these offices to be able to help us run the affairs of this country. So ultimately, COSI, we really need to work hard.
We really indeed need to work hard. And remember, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show. And you can go to our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and leave your contributions on that particular page, and ensure that you share this page so that a lot more people can give in their thoughts on what we are looking at this morning. We ask a question this morning: do you think that the immunity of former Republican president should be Edgar Lungu should be lifted or not? So you can give us your contributions on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook, search for Camnet TV, and then leave your contributions in the comment section of this particular broadcast, because we are broadcasting live. You can also watch us on YouTube. We are streaming live on our YouTube channel, which is Camnet TV as well, and also 274 on DSTV, 225 on GoTV, and of course 106 on Topstar. Those are the platforms you can catch us on, and we will soon be opening the phone lines so that we give you an opportunity for those of you that would love to call us and tell us what you think about what we are discussing this particular morning. We are going to be opening the phone lines. Patrick,
we had a lot of we had some games in the Champions League because yes, last evening. Let's have a look at some of the results. No, there are quite some games that were played.
Yes, we had a number of games that were played yesterday in the UEFA Champions League. Red Bull Salzburg, this is former Patson Daka's team, and Enoch Mwepu. They were playing against Real Sociedad, a Spanish team. They went down at home 2-0, and then Union Berlin played Braga. They went down by 3-2, Braga 3, Union Berlin 2. Now, these games were played at 18:45 yesterday, and if you look at them, both teams that were playing at home lost. And then at 21, we did have Inter Milan play Benfica. Inter Milan were victorious by 1-0. Sevilla were playing PSV, and PSV held Sevilla to a 2-2 draw. And then Copenhagen was playing Bayern Munich, and they were at home. They lost to Bayern by 2-1. Manchester United's woes have continued. Yesterday, they were beaten by Galatasaray by 3-2. And then Napoli were at home. They were beaten by Real Madrid by 3-2 as well. Lens and Arsenal. Lens beat Arsenal by 2-1. Arsenal's troubles in the UEFA Champions League continue. Atletico Madrid were playing Feyenoord, and they are playing tonight. Atletico versus Feyenoord at 18:45. Antwerp will take on Shakhtar Donetsk at 18:45 as well today. Krevna Zvezda, this is Red Star Belgrade basically, will be playing Young Boys. Now there are two Zambian players in both of those teams. There's Klings Kangwa playing for Red Star Belgrade, and who's this boy who plays for Young Boys? So we do have two Zambians there that will be facing off at 21 hours. And at another game at 21, Dortmund will be taking on AC Milan. This is a cracker of a match. Newcastle United, PSG, another cracker of a match. RB Leipzig will be playing Manchester City. Manchester, the defending champions, of course. Porto will be taking on Barcelona, and Celtic will be playing Lazio. So those are the games to be played tonight, and we did show you also results of some games played yesterday. Interesting game that we were watching yesterday, Real Madrid beating Napoli by 3-2.
Yes, it was an interesting game to watch. It was intense, and both teams were playing very good football. And we saw that there was a controversial penalty that was awarded to PSG, to Napoli. And at some point I thought, oh, probably it's going to end 2-0. But unfortunately, Valverde came to score a cracker of a goal, because it was a well-hitted shot. And we saw Madrid now managing to win the match by 3-2. It was a match to watch for yesterday. But today, I think, and one of the matches to watch will be a match between RB Leipzig up against Manchester City. I think that will be another good match to watch for today.
Sure, but let me take you back to the Madrid-Napoli game. Look, we were from the weekend and people were complaining about the VAR decision that was made between Liverpool and Tottenham. And then yesterday again, a penalty is given. The referee is invited to go and check the VAR. And from my perspective, there's nothing that a falling player can do about that. You don't give it as a handball.
No, you don't. Given that both players were actually in action.
Yes.
In fact, if a ball also if it hit the other player also.
Yeah, sure. So I think VAR, because you see, VAR, we thought VAR was going to eliminate such mistakes.
But now, unfortunately, it is enhancing them.
A referee will stop to go and watch video evidence and then come back and still make a wrong
decision. Yes.
I mean, I think that the game against the Liverpool game against Tottenham also, that clearly you see that this is not an offside, and the referee goes to go and check on VAR and comes back and gives it as an offside. And I think that we were hoping that VAR was coming to reduce these mistakes.
No, I think VAR's intention is okay, but I think we are still having incidents of match fixing or referees being paid.
Sure.
So I think those episodes are not ending anytime soon. That's because I feel sometimes referees have interest to safeguard. So sometimes you are playing this referee is a Manchester fan, and he wants to protect the team by forgetting that it needs to be fair. You know, so all those things I think do come, and again we have seen that others will say, no, make sure you act in our favor. You know those things.
And I think that it boils down to professionalism by the referees.
Yes.
Liverpool had officially requested for the audio communication between the center referee and the VAR for them to understand, because it clearly did the guys that were watching the video, the VAR, what did they tell the referee? Because that is the main purpose of VAR. You advise the referee to say, no, you missed something, come and check. We think that there's a penalty there, come and check. Then the referee comes to come and verify if what you told him is true. So you rewind for him so that he reviews. He views and decides to make the mistake again. Come on, guys. I think VAR, we really need professionalism.
Indeed, the professionalism is needed. So this is where we have to wrap up in terms of our sports segment this morning, and we move on to some of the stories that we are making the headlines. And let's have a look at the story where UPND youths are actually making calls that the immunity of the former president should be lifted. And we are asking that question to you, our dear viewers, to say, is it necessary that the immunity of former President Edgar Lungu should be lifted, or we should just move on and look at other things? We want your views on this matter.
Sure. So the story says the United Party for National Development, UPND in Lusaka, has urged members of parliament to move a motion for the removal of former President Edgar Lungu's immunity. Now, UPND Information Publicity Secretary Matomola Likwanya claims that the move will pave way for the prosecution of some suspected corruption cases that are stopping at the former head of state. Meanwhile, Kamwara Ward 5 Councillor Mainda Simata has called on the government to review the awarding of all tenders through the Electronic Government Procedure EGP system, procurement rather, EGP system, as it is disadvantaging startups and small medium enterprises. Let's have a look at this.
We hold the view that the fight against corruption will not be achieved if we spare former President Edgar Chagwarungu. There are some people right now who are hiding in the name of former President Edgar Chagwarungu. You touch them, they will tell you, no, this vehicle I have, the one who bought for me, is former President Edgar Chagwarungu. We hold the view that most of the crimes, the corruption that were happening during the time of the Patriotic Front were orchestrated by this man. I think we must move in that direction. It's not a witch hunt. I also want to tell you that during the time when FTJ was alive, Dr. Frederick Chulwa was alive, former President Dr. EDGAR Chagwarungu was very key and instrumental in advocating for the removal of former President Dr. Chiluba's immunity. He was one of the lawyers, together with Winter Kadimba, that stood strongly to speak against the removing of FTJ's immunity.
We are not going to allow systems to take precedence over human interests. So once again, and in closing, as councillors, we are saying that the electronic government procurement system must be limited to tenders that are above 4 million. In the interest of ensuring that every bidder, those that are new in business, are able to successfully bid for contracts, all contracts and tenders that are below 4 million must be left for the local authorities to advertise and process them.
So that is about the former President Edgar Lungu's immunity. What do you think as a citizen? Do you feel that his immunity must be lifted as suggested by the UPND Information and Publicity Secretary Matomora Likwanya, who claims that there are a lot of atrocities that were committed, and they all hinge, and he says actually that they were orchestrated by former President Edgar Chagwarungu, and so this is the starting point in fighting corruption. You can also give us your thoughts on our Facebook page. Just to go to Camnet TV and then go to the comment section of this particular broadcast and leave your contributions there. We'll be more than happy to see what you think of what we are discussing this particular morning. Patrick.
Yeah, interesting views there. But now looking at this journey that they are proposing, that we should, the country, the parliament rather, should consider lifting former President Edgar Lungu's immunity, because we've been through this path before. Yeah, we saw former president, or in fact most former presidents, even KK, isn't it? Yeah, even when we went to FTJ, we had his immunity removed. But what did we achieve again? How much did we recover? This say we come to the late also former President Rupia Banda. We talked about his immunity. How much did we get out of removing his immunity? Was it necessary? But again, they're just fine that they're saying that it is better that he's given an opportunity to clear his name before the courts of law. Maybe on account of that, do we need to allow that to prevail? So I don't know, but it is up to the UPND and other especially members of parliament from the UPND. I understand that they have the numbers in parliament, and if they are to take on that responsibility, they would go ahead and achieve that. No doubt they would achieve that. So, but is it something that we need to journey on? Or at the moment, I think that's a question we are asking Zambians.
Sure.
I think they do have a say in this conversation overall. Sure. Let's get to listen to what other citizens have pertaining to this subject. Hello, you are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
This is
Mutinta.
I want to contribute on the same topic.
Okay.
We are saying that the immunity should be moved to the president. You people ask people, we should understand that corruption is coming where. Let's start just remind that the president, as our former president, is the father of the state. And corruption is becoming worse. What I want to say is this. Last time we all heard about what happened, and one of the people who were there in Congo, but nothing has been done, and they're saying that there's no corruption. The names are coming from the phone, not on the list, they are collected. And we passed the message, and the non-trading, this is fair.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Indeed, she is bringing out corruption is still happening even at the moment.
Yeah,
she cites the recruitment in the Zambia army.
There were very interesting revelations in the recruitments of Zambia army. Remember, we did do a story here, and it points to corruption if the allegations were true, because there are people that were picked and ended up being stuck in the bush and were not part of those that were being trained. Meanwhile, the names were in the papers that they were supposed to go for training. So
yeah. Indeed, those are the views. They are interesting. If you see, there were also concerns of nepotism.
Sure.
Where because you have dependents, and those dependents now tend to supersede the list that was officially released by government officials, and that was a concern that was raised. And we've spoke to some of the people, especially on this platform, some of members of parliament who have asked them about the same. But let's pick up this call. You are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Good morning,
So, Mr. Patrick, you can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
To me, I feel the former president really have to be removed.
Why do you think so, sir?
Because they are not talking about this. To clear people's mind, we need to remove impunity. And even in our respective homes, if a child is not good, and then you say this child isn't good, we need to beat him, we need to achieve everything. That child did this and that, we have to beat him and work out, to then this one, we are not going to do it. That's wrong. That's why the law is there. We have to follow the law. If it is happened, then that's clear. And then the other things, that is the TFMC, have to accept this and have to celebrate over this, so that even then their names are clear. Because if the TFMC will insist in not having the unit of the former president removed, and still people would be clearly mad on that. So let these immediately removed so that they clear their name, and also the former president clear his name. And we don't have to imagine things, but take the things the way they are supposed to be. If the court clears, then we thank God because they have prepared for the court, and those other courts will be out of us. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution from Solwezi there. Sure. And he feels that the immunity of the former president should be removed to also give him an opportunity to clear his name.
Yes, you see, lifting the immunity of the president means that now he can be taken to court. It means that now he can be investigated. So what it is that there are a lot of allegations. As you have heard, the UPND Information and Publicity, he's making allegations against the president. There are a lot of allegations against the former president. So Mr. Patrick from Solwezi thinks that this will give him an opportunity to go and clear his name against these allegations.
Yeah, but if I look at it, this is the party and the party secretariat, and I think the members of parliament are equally part of the UPNDs, those who are from the UPND, and I'm sure that I think it's they're going to go ahead.
Let's pick another call. We do have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Very well, thanks.
And how are you, Mr. Amson? Mr. Amson, your line is fluctuating. Mr. Amson has to call us back because the line is pretty bad. We can hardly hear him. He's from Kafue. He does also call regularly here on the Camnet Breakfast Show.
So, Mr. Musonda, kindly ensure that you call us back. Your line is not very good, but we will appreciate if you call us back so that you give us your thoughts on the topic that we are looking at this particular morning. Now, you can also go to our Facebook page and leave your contributions there, as Phineas Nyika has done, and also Bernard Tanda, who says he's watching us from Minwood Mutumbi. Kennedy Chibole says, leave ECL and Trump alone.
I like the scenario, the way he's comparing things. Yeah, it's like Trump and Biden is in our case, Biden is HH,
yes,
and Trump is ECL. So you get the arrangement. So and these others are going for elections in recent times. So yeah, I like the comparison of those aspects. But however, we are seeing that politics, that's the way it is done everywhere.
We do have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, John Mukuma from Livingston.
Mr. Mukuma, please go ahead and give us your contribution.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Kosi.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Mukuma.
I'm fine. How are you, Mr. Soko?
Fine, thank you. I was waiting for your call yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday I was in the farm.
Yeah, we'll come and eat together.
Instead of saying we'll come and join you tilling the land.
No problem. One day I'll find time so that we meet physically.
Oh yeah.
Sure. All right.
You see, these who are calling for the removal of ECL immunity. You know, this is what we call a kadabra kind of thinking. These are the people also that thought the UPND are going to bring things down. Perceptions is what is killing us in Zambia. We don't move in reality. They feel that when ECL immunity is lifted up, it's just an automatic win. And it's an automatic prosecution or being put to prison of ECL. It doesn't work like that. It's a process. It may even take the entire 5 years. The case has not finished. At the end of the day, ECL wins the case, and the state again must pay ECL. What are we doing? People, my brothers, suffering. You know, when we tell you that people are suffering, I don't know what you journalists do in your studios. Take your cameras off the studios. Go in Rwanda. Go in Kalabo. Go in Shangombo. Come here, even in Kazungula, here in the Musopatwani area. Come in Mukuni and see how much people are suffering. We're not going to eat these issues of fighting ECL, because people want to be in power, defending their territory, so that they as they fight ECL, they are defending their territory. No! If you have failed, you have failed. Leave. You know the seat of president is not for an individual. Even you people who are there can contest the president. Even me, I've got the right to contest the president. Even ECL has got the right to recontest. So it must not be a story in this nation like a will. When ECL said, I want to come back, it's not, he has not been a nation that is coming back to politics. You don't know, maybe ECL is playing the game. So, let's run away from trivial matters of ECL. By the way, even in this UPND, there is a lot of corruption. In Katungula district, the boy who is constructing those schools there is a UPND cadre. We know him. And even UPND, they know him. He's a cadre. He's constructing school at Imongwe, at Katungula High School there, is the one constructing. If you want, you can go there and find out. He's a UPND cadre. He lost the primary elections to the
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkuma there, giving his perspective. It feels it is not necessary, and the conversation is not necessary.
Sure.
But you see, on the other hand, the UPND continue to advance this, and you've seen this is not the first time we're talking about this issue pertaining to immunity. It had resurfaced, and we remember the president had also dared them to say, "You can go ahead, the former president, and remove my immunity." At some point, but again it went quiet. But when we have seen that there have been a lot of media appearances of the former president stealing the limelight in terms of especially with the political discourse, we have seen that now it's like, okay, with the UPND has gone back to that card again to say, okay, let's remove the immunity of this man so that we can pave way for investigations. But again, like I said, if it is coming from the political party, I'm sure the members of parliament are privy to that, and probably it's one of the activities they may be able to undertake. Apart from us seeing the budget in these budget debates in this session of the House, we may see another motion coming in.
Yeah, we do have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Patrick.
Please go ahead, sir.
Sir, you can go ahead.
Yes, it's not with Hanky. And the main issue is we perhaps have to leave this man alone. We just have not to do anything to this man. We are not doing justice to this country. Even those that are involved in corruption, the current corruption, they need to be taken to court because that's why we do justice to this country. I feel people should not say, let's not do this because there are some people doing this. Let's take everyone to court so that whatever resources have been taken, they have to be brought back. Whoever is doing what has to face the law. We don't have to say no because it gives the error and do not do anything because the others are doing it. Even those others, let them be taken to take the court. Let's report to them because they are doing justice to this country. And again, I still feel the TSMC, they should do themselves justice by allowing remove the unity because we want to vote them back. We want them back in 2026. But we vote them back in 2026 when we have doubts on certain things that happen. They have to clear themselves because they come back. And when they are still insisting that they are still saying, no, this is hell, this is that, because we are just making a non-result. We cannot say because there are things that have been made against you. So let them clear themselves. Even those that are being corrupt now, reported to police and taking so that they clear themselves of it. And like making those decisions that are not backed by law. If someone says that, let it be backed by law. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your contribution, sir. Indeed, he was responding to Mr. Mkuma. I should assume on that.
That's the goodness of this platform because it gives our viewers the opportunity to give their thoughts on what they think should be done. So we are asking, do you feel that the immunity of former Republican President Edgar Lungu should be lifted? That is the question we are asking. You can also go to our Facebook page, Camnet TV, and then go to the comment section of this particular broadcast and leave us your contribution. We'll be more than happy to see what you think about what we are discussing this beautiful morning. The issue is lifting of the immunity of former Republican President Edgar Lungu. We do have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where you are calling us from?
My name is no.
Come again.
My name is Pastor.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. It's to remove from my back.
Your line is not very good. Would you call us back? Hello?
I think the line is gone.
Yeah. Kindly call us back. Your line is not very, very good, but we would appreciate to hear what you think about what we are discussing this particular morning. Patrick.
Interesting. So we also have a look at a story where the Lusaka Magistrate Court has convicted and sentenced a 20-year-old housewife of Lusaka to 12 months simple imprisonment, but suspended to 15 for deserting her 7-month-old baby and 2 others aged 6 and 7. This was in a case where Maureen Makai of Mutendere Township admitted before Magistrate Mbuyawana Simvula to facing 3 counts of desertion of a child, an offense contrary to Section 168 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. So let's have a look at this story, and we'll be back shortly. Keep those calls coming on the other side, and make sure you leave us that message, especially on our social media platforms, especially on Facebook. Keep it on Camnet.
20-year-old Maureen Makai, a housewife, makes her exit from the Lusaka subordinate court premise shortly after being given a 15-month suspended sentence. The mother of 3 pleaded guilty to the offense of desertion of a child, an offense contrary to Section 168 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. Magistrate Simvula convicted and sentenced her to 12 months simple imprisonment, but suspended to 15 months. The mother of 3 was lucky Tuesday morning when she escaped a 12-month jail sentence after Magistrate Simvula heard a plea for mercy. Her plea, however, came with a warning that she deceased from the habit of neglecting her children. The court told the convict that it was a duty to take care of her children and not to play. After her release, Makai told journalists that she had learned a lesson and will avoid finding herself in such a situation.
So why sunasakile polo kwasi ya polo paniba mwasinda baniba
Munga manebazi yanga ile na best zokuliza. So sininga basiri bana bantu besini kuliza nana. So leso ni nafunzira ako yakuti n'abananzi bambiwe kabwekesha hapo. Noko stundi kunze stumo. Semu.
Her neighbors had lodged a complaint against her at the Victim Support Unit at Mutendere Police Station, among other things that she was in the habit of leaving her children for long hours without care and would sometime return home at 21 hours, and when her neighbors advised her, she would instead insult them. According to facts before court, the neighbors had made an effort to tell their husband, but the situation remained the same. During her mitigation this morning, Makai, when pleading with the court on why she should not be sent to prison, said she was not aware that leaving her children without the care of anyone was an offense. She pleaded for mercy and told the court that she loves her children. The court has exercised maximum lenience on her on the basis that she is supposed to look after her children, with one being 7 months and breastfeeding. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
We hold the view that the fight against corruption will not be achieved if we spare former President Edgar Chagwarungu. There are some people right now who are hiding in the name of former President Edgar Chagwarungu. You touch them, they will tell you, no, this vehicle I have, the one who bought for me, is former President Edgar Chagwarungu. We hold the view that most of the crimes, the corruption that were happening during the time of the Patriotic Front were orchestrated by this man. I think we must move in that direction. It's not a witch hunt. I also want to tell you that during the time when FTJ was alive, Dr. Frederick Chulwa was alive, former President Dr. Edgar Chagwa was very key and instrumental in advocating for the removal of former President Dr. Chiloba's immunity. He was one of the lawyers, together with Winter Kabimba, that stood strongly to speak against the removing of FTJ's immunity.
We are not going to allow systems to take precedence over human interests. So once again, and in closing, as councillors, we are saying that the electronic government procurement system must be limited to tenders that are above 4 million. In the interest of ensuring that every bidder, those that are new in business, are able to successfully bid for contracts, all contracts and tenders that are below 4 million must be left for the local authorities to advertise and process them.
Welcome back, and you are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show Wednesday edition, where we focus about nothing but governance, politics, and policy. And we were looking at some of the stories that are making the headlines. And the story that has been making the headlines in the Camnet main news was the story pertaining to the UPND advocating for the lifting of immunity of former Republican President Edgar Lungu. And you saw that quite a number of course, because they have come through, others for others against the move, the proposed intervention. And you two are seated in your homes watching us this morning. We want to hear from you. Tell us about what you think about this subject. Others, we did come through. Our first caller was a female caller, and she did indicate a concern to say, the fact we need to also focus on other issues because corruption is still ongoing even in this administration. She also cited the issues pertaining to the recruitment of workers. Hello, good.
I don't know the criteria they are using this guys because in UK there is too much corruption up to now. But we are not speaking about this. That was not the issue. We give their party. You know, what's the important thing they are forgetting to say? This is that they think they are the idiots who cannot break any law. That's why the bank, even a see room coming out from home, from without it, the people shivering, not that he has the room. Why can't he just leave him home? Just like that. If he makes it to contest, he can contest. He doesn't have to be better. So that's my contribution.
Thank you very much, sir. We didn't get your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Udon.
And the name is? Mr. Musonda, thank you very much for coming through. So you can also call us. The numbers are on your screens and tell us what you think about what we are looking at this particular morning. Or you can go to our Facebook page and leave your contributions on this particular broadcast on the comment section. We do have quite a number of contributions that have come through on our Facebook page. Kingsley Majila says, good morning, guys. You are doing good. How are you doing, rather? Guys, I'm watching you from Mazabuga, the sweetest town in southern province of Zambia. Guys, keep it up. God bless you guys and your families. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Jem Caps says it is not necessary. We'll come back to the messages because we have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Emmanuel Soup. I'm calling you in Lusaka.
Please go ahead and give us your contribution, madam.
Yes, I want to contribute to the same issue about what he's saying.
Sure, ma'am.
Yes, sitting in the UPND, there's a corruption. Matomola needs us to calm down and chill. Don't talk to, he talks too much, that guy. Maybe he wants a position. You know, this guy, you can just leave the Edgar Lungu alone. They'll make Edgar look more popular than before. They are supposed to remove the Edgar Lungu's immunity before, when they were elected in the cabinet, the UPND. Not now, and then these cases in Zambia, they take long. Let's just focus the serious issues what is happening here in the ground. Then what they are doing on Matomola. Then they have to stop what he's doing in Matomola. Eating like today, he's talking like this. What will happen tomorrow? You see how God lifts some other people come down. We remember what used to happen to the PF. Where are they, those people? Today. Mr. Matomo, he has to come down. He has to behave himself. Also, you can take a collapsion. It's like you're looking something in your friend's eye, you're leaving your things in your house, but you're busy containing your children and that's children. This is what Mr. Matomo is doing. This guy is the EDGAR Lungu. But you know, look at what used to happen in Children's time. Someone who got the East. He needs us to come down with Matomo. He needs us to be himself. There's a bigger problem in this country. Anger is high. Thank you very much. That was my contribution.
Thank you, Madam, for your contribution. We thank you for that perspective. And it's just calling for calm, Matomola, calm. Interesting views there. You can go ahead with your contribution with the reading of the text messages.
So, Jem Caps says it is not necessary. I'm sure he's referring to lifting the immunity. And Honorable Hendricks Kasanda says, I'm following the program and the proceedings. Thank you very much. Kigoni Hanalanga says, it has to be lifted. He is politicking. Thank you very much. I'm sure he's also referring to the immunity that it has to be lifted because the former Republican President Edgar Lungu is politicking. Patrick Lunkumba says, watching from Itezi district, the southern province, let the law be done as it is supposed to be done. So those are some of the messages that have come through. You also can send your messages to our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and then search for Camnet TV, like it, follow that particular page, and then go to the to this particular broadcast because it's live, and then leave your contributions in the comments section. We will be more than glad to see what you think about what we are discussing this beautiful morning. There are quite a number of stories that we are looking at, but we will get back to them before let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
Zimba from Mafinga.
Zimba from where?
Mafinga.
Mr. Zimba, please go ahead and give us your contribution.
Yes, I was following what Matomola was saying. So I heard him saying, if we leave out Edgar Lungu, then the fight of corruption is nothing. Now, I'm interested in the way to win. Is he part of the investigation win? Again, he goes by saying, if you ask this guy where he did this thing, but it was caused by Edgar Lungu. Again, that's with you. Is he the one who asking people investigating them? So I feel just like the other madam said, what talk to man, let him calm down. Let him just calm down. He's not part of the investigation he win for him to be making that statement. Then if we say we remove Edgar Lungu, we are wasting time. Let's concentrate on key issues that are going to help us improve as a nation. That process is very long and we are just going to waste taxpayers' money. We have wasted of such cases. What did we get from such cases as a nation? Nothing. The issue of corruption, when UPNC was in opposition, me personally, I feel they exaggerated it too much to say PF is corrupt. How many cases have they taken to court concerning PF people? And what have we gained from such cases as a nation? Nothing. Only hearing, no, this case has been dropped. What? Those are the things that we hear. So, what I'm just getting the politicians, both from ruling and the opposition, let's all just focus on key issues that will help us move as a nation. Not where if opposition comes up to say, no, meaning is very expensive. Then when been advocating for unity. Me, I feel if this is promoted the issue of removing immunity, it will bring a lot of disunity. We need to follow what the president has been saying. It's unity. If Edgar can give people store anything for this nation, let the law investigators come in and do it. And it is the UPND together with the president to take this case to Parliament. Why have they been wasting time?
Thank you.
Me, I feel let's just focus on key issues that are affecting the nation so that we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zimba, for your contribution. And Mr. Zimba was brought out quite a number of pertinent aspects.
Sure.
The aspect he brings out is on the we part, because it means that now it's like now interfering with the due process of the law, like interfering with the job that the law enforcement agencies have to do. That's the job of the Drug Enforcement Commission, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Zambia Police, among others, to say but because at the end of the day, it is their job, it is them to identify those anomalies. People can just report, and then the law enforcement wings take it up. But if it takes us to say it means that the UPND administration has to fight individuals, but that's not how things work. It means that you are now interfering with the law enforcement wings. So I think the idea is about being systematic about the terms you use, especially when coming out, especially during press conferences, because your message will be interpreted otherwise. So I think it is important that politicians also take that caution. Sure. And we have seen also others calling on Mr. Matomona to say, tone down, and that's our previous caller was also echoing that perspective. But we are getting views, every view count, and if you want to join the conversation, you can do so and give us that call right about now.
Sure. So you can call us on the numbers that are on your screen so that you give us your thought on what we are looking at this morning. Another interesting story that we are looking at this morning says the Socialist Party has accused the Zambia Police of being political in the matter where Socialist Party National Youth General Secretary Gabriel Banda has been detained since Thursday last week. Now, Socialist Party National Youth spokesperson Stanley Mubasa wonders why Mr. Banda has not been given a bond despite his charges being bondable. Now, however, police spokesperson Ray Hamonga has clarified that the Socialist Party National Youth General Secretary was taken to Kanakantapa because of lack of space in cells within Lusaka. Let's have a look at this report.
Over the years, concerns have arisen over prolonged detention of suspected offenders of the law. Latest to cry foul is the Socialist Party after the arrest of its National Youth General Secretary Gabriel Banda, charged with proposing violence and criminal trespass, contrary to sections 91 and 306 of the laws of Zambia. But National Youth spokesperson Stanley Mubasa wonders why Gabriel had to be taken to Kanakantapa, away from the scene of his suspected offense.
We are very, very disappointed that this behavior has continued, even when we thought it is going to be a different case with the UPND administration in government. Clearly, we cannot talk about rule of law because the UPND administration is in the forefront through various stakeholders and government institutions leading in the violation of human rights, just like they have continued to do so against many citizens of this country.
But in response, police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says Gabriel was taken to Kanakantapa because of lack of space in the cells within Lusaka, saying at the time of his arrest, police had conducted an operation to round up junkies in Lusaka, which filled the cells to capacity.
At the time of his arrest, we are having an operation also in Lusaka, ongoing operation. You are aware that we have this problem of junkies, and we had rounded up a lot of people. And that particular time, our cells were full to capacity. And the only place where we found an empty cell was Kanakantapa, and that's the reason why he found himself there in Kanakantapa. Suffice to state that he's in police custody. We have not detained him in an illegal place, not at all. A police, as by law established, is a gazetted place, and the cell that where he is in a legally gazetted place where a person who has committed an offense can be put into.
Mr. Hamonga also responded to concerns of Gabriel's long detention.
As police do not prosecute persons we arrest, then the National Prosecution Authority is charged with the responsibility of prosecuting the persons. Now in this case, after we did that, we forwarded the case on Friday to NPA, and then NPA also has to study it, and of course it went into a weekend, and you know that the weekend doesn't count. Even if somebody was to be taken before a court, there's no court that operates on weekends. So this is where we are, and we will continue to follow it up with NPA to have him indicted. But however, the prosecution has given first instructions to enable us to record more statements, which we are doing right now.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Effects of the shutdown of the Rwanda 1 water treatment plant in Kafiwe to pave way for repair works on the 900mm steel pipeline to Lusaka has started to be felt. The Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company shut down the plant in September following a leakage, which was causing a notable loss of water. The plant's shutdown was going to see reduced water supply in some parts of Lusaka, with the water utility company having drawn up a schedule of supply. But according to these residents in Lusaka's Kamwala, there is a near shutdown for almost 3 weeks, and are calling on the water utility company to look into the matter.
We haven't had water in about 3 weeks now, and the problem seems to be escalating because at first we had little pressure and now we have nothing. When we used to have water, it used to come between 02 and 04, but in some areas there's no water completely, like here where I live there's no water completely.
Area Councillor Mainda Smart has since bemoaned the situation, which he says has seen a breakout of typhoid in the area.
I'm very concerned with the inconsistency being exhibited by Lusaka Water in terms of not following the laid down schedule. I am aware that they've got technical difficulties such as pressure, but at the same time we need mitigation measures to be put in place.
Mr. Smart has disclosed that the water utility company is releasing a water bowser to service the area, but is not enough, calling on the disaster management and mitigation unit DMMU to come on board.
Single water bowser is not sufficient to go around because it's also being needed in all the 38 wards of Lusaka, which has also been hit with lack of water. So it's not sustainable that all 38 wards can be calling and using one particular water bowser, and that's why I've written to the DMMU to call for help, for emergency help in terms of providing water bowsers.
When asked for a comment on the matter, Lusaka Water and Supply and Sanitation Company requested for a press query. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
We hold the view that the fight against corruption will not be achieved if we spare former President EDGAR Chagwarungu. There are some people right now who are hiding in the name of former President EDGAR Chagwarungu. You touch them, they will tell you, no, this vehicle I have, the one who bought for me, is former President EDGAR Chagwarungu. We hold the view that most of the crimes, the corruption that were happening during the time of the Patriotic Front were orchestrated by this man. I think we must move in that direction. It's not a witch hunt. I also want to tell you that during the time when FTJ was alive, Dr. Frederick Chulwa was alive, former President Dr. EDGAR Chagwarungu was very key and instrumental in advocating for the removal of former President Dr. Chiluba's immunity. He was one of the lawyers, together with Winter Kabimba, that stood strongly to speak against the removing of FTJ's immunity.
We are not going to allow systems to take precedence over human interests. So once again, and in closing, as councillors, we are saying that the electronic government procurement system must be limited to tenders that are above 4 million. In the interest of ensuring that every bidder, those that are new in business, are able to successfully bid for contracts, all contracts and tenders that are below 4 million must be left for the local authorities to advertise and process them.
All right, there you have it. We'll take a short break. We'll be back shortly.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV.
Thank you for staying with us on the Camnet Breakfast Show. And we were looking at some of the stories that were making the headlines, and zooming the headlines is a segment that people are giving us feedback on. And our topic of discussion is should the immunity of former Republican President Edgar Lungu be lifted or not? And we have been getting views from citizens from across the country, and those of you who managed to give us your perspective, we thank you very much for your contributions. And those of you who are also giving us those messages on our Facebook page, thank you for your support, and keep those messages coming. We want to hear from you. And remember that democracy is about tolerating the views that you do not like from someone you might not like. So we keep on getting views from each and everyone who is interested to comment on the subject, because at the end of the day, we want to see the way forward. I want to see what are the views of the people, even as these people advocating for these measures to be taken. What are your views as a citizen? Do you think it is necessary? We have been able to get quite a number of feedback from various callers who called on the program, telling us that others are saying that it is not necessary. Others are saying it is necessary. Others are saying corruption is still ongoing even in this current administration. Let them fight current corruption as well and give it the energy they are giving past corruption. And that has been the aspiration of Republican President Hakainde Hichilema. On several platforms, he has been able to clarify that his focus or his desire is to ensure that his administration pursues past, current, and future corruption. But to the contrary, some citizens feel current corruption is not being given the attention that it deserves. And others have cited the issues pertaining to the recruitment processes, which they feel there has been a lot of corruption and nepotism, to mention among other issues they are citing as affecting and undermining the transparency and accountability, which is a fundamental and a key aspect of good governance. Now, talking about good governance, it is an element of good governance if you, our dear citizens, also give us your perspective and views on matters, because at the end of the day, we have a country to govern collectively, because it's about you, and especially you, to give us your perspective, and so that these leaders, wherever they may be seated, they should be here to say, this is what people think about what is happening in the country. We were looking at some of the stories. Among the stories is the story where there has been issues pertaining to water blues that the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company has indicated to us that it will be with us for about 60 days. And that is something that we continue to follow because water is life and it continues to affect a lot of people.
Sure it is. We do have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Your name and where you are calling us from?
This is Professor Mulenga calling from Kibira Womboy.
Samlenga, please go ahead and give us your contribution.
Okay, to Alala and the Femchu and Brian.
Then Mkwai.
I think if president in the Valley, but those are the verdicts in UPND, which are supposed to be eliminated. But my investigation wins in Anguva. The vice chairman now.
Very good.
UPND is a very good party. No, but I'm going to show everybody on our UPND. Mulandoko Utirati. If you're very cheetah, they're not thinking of the future. So, if the president is hearing, he could fire away never to the Vice chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming through. We really do appreciate your contribution. You can also call us on the numbers that are on your screens if you want to give us your thought on what we are looking at this particular morning.
Yes, just a bit of clarification. Mr. Matomora is Information Publicity Secretary.
Sure, Mr. Matomora is Information Publicity Secretary, UPND, so he is not the youth chairman, but however,
the views have been taken.
We have taken the views from the previous caller. You can also call us on the numbers that are on the screens. You are also are encouraged to go to our Facebook page and leave your contributions as regards what we are discussing this beautiful morning. Before that call, we were talking about the water blues in Kamwala, and the ward councillor, Mainda Simata, unfortunately says this problem has brought about typhoid.
Yeah, that's an alarming issue there. We need to see how, to what extent has typhoid affected the residents. So we need to start engaging health authorities. It's quite a serious disease, so we need not to take it for granted. But that stresses the importance of access to clean water and safe water, Kozi. So the people have been affected. It's not only in Kamwala South. It's various localities where that have been affected because of the maintenance work that the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company is undertaking. So we just hope that they will continue to adhere to the schedule that they have given the people, because the concern has been that the schedule hasn't been followed as expected. So, but the water utility has also been giving its justifications, saying, attributing to, among other factors, the pressure, and so. But we hope that they should be able to manage the schedule as advised, because it is them who issued that schedule. And you can imagine, because I tell you that water will be coming at 7 to 9 hours, and 7 to 9 hours the water is not there. You are not even sure what time is water going to come, and does it mean that you should spend the whole day watching the tap so that maybe you see, you determine what time you are going to have access to water. So I think a clear timetable is vital in this case, so that people can be able to make decisions accordingly.
Timetable indeed. It is unfortunate that after coming up with a schedule, they are failing to adhere to it as a utility. I think that citizens must be provided with the water according to the schedule that the utility company said they were going to be providing the water. Now, we have quite a number of messages that have come through on the Facebook platform, and Mr. Patrick Mwelwalukwesa says, watching from Kafue, no need to lift LUNGU'S immunity. The economic status, the economic situation is worse compared to previous government. That is, the cost of living is rising daily. Let the UPND work on reducing the cost of living. Thank you very much, Mr. Lukwesa from Kafue. We appreciate your contribution. Frank Mumba says, instead of lifting hunger, the cost of living, you are talking about ECL. Bushe Mwapangwa Shani. Thank you very much, Mr. Mumba. We appreciate your contribution. The topic should be forgotten. When is Zambia going to grow? Thank you very much. That one comes from Joseph Wiseman Saidi. Okay, he didn't indicate where he's texting us from. However, those are some of the messages that have come through as regards the topic that we are looking at. You can also go to our Facebook page and leave your contribution on the comment section of this particular broadcast. Patrick.
Interesting indeed. Let's have a look at some of the stories also that are making the headlines. We have two stories pertaining to the budget and talking about the CDF. We have government says it is open to hear from those with reservations on the Consensus Development Fund, CDF utilization, monitoring and evaluation. Some institutions have called on the government to strengthen monitoring of CDF following the increase of the fund in 2024, as there is no clear audit this far. Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary Mambo Hamaundu, however, says just like any other state program, there are safeguards which have been put in place to ensure proper utilization of CDF. Mr. Hamaundu says despite all safeguards stakeholders with other suggestions, but bettering the monitoring of CDF can approach the ministry as government is running an open door policy. So let's have a look at this story, and we'll be back on the other side. And remember to keep it on Camnet TV and not just another channel.
Several stakeholders have welcomed the increased Constituency Development Fund CDF with reservations on oversight of its usage. In the 2024 national budget, government announced the increase of CDF from 28.3 million kwacha to 30.6 million kwacha per constituency. Commenting on the concerns, the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Permanent Secretary Administration Mambo Hamaundu, says there are adequate mechanisms to monitor prudent utilization of CDF.
You know, we have internal auditors at the local authorities who carry out those audits. We've got people who are at the ministry carrying out audits. And beyond that, we also have audits which are conducted every year by the Office of the Auditor General. So, and when the Auditor General does finish conducting their audit, they submit it to Parliament, who play an oversight role. So as much as there could be those concerns, sometimes I feel that we have an information gap which we probably need to deal with.
Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Amaundu, however, says institutions with reservations on CDF utilization and monitoring are welcome to approach the ministry.
If there are any matters of concern, particular matters of concern, the public is at liberty to come through. We have a conversation. That's why we're here as a ministry, is to listen to the public and also know what their concerns are. And if it's a question of suggesting something which is already in existence, we will mention to say this particular aspect is already in existence, and will make the public aware.
On Monday, during the National Symposium on the 2024 National Budget, some stakeholders, among them Zaki and Zika, expressed concern over what they term inadequate monitoring and evaluation of CDF utilization in the country. For Camnet TV News, Hafias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Last Friday, 29th September 2023, Minister of Finance and National Planning, Stumbeko Msokotwane, presented the proposed 2024 national budget. According to Dr. Msokotwane, government plans to spend 178 billion kwacha in the coming year, but a women's rights group is not happy with government's failure to address gender inequalities through the 2024 national budget. Young Women's Christian Association of Zambia, YWCA Executive Director Miriam Mwinga, says the 2024 national budget remains gender blind just like before.
One of our concerns is regarding the issues of the gender machinery that the women have been talking about. We do not have a ministry of gender. We do not have a minister of gender to sit in cabinet and speak on the issues of women, as well as push for budgetary allocation of resources towards women's issues. What we have not seen is the allocation again towards the issues of the Gender Equity and Equality Commission, which we were hoping would come out strongly in this budget, because we do not have a ministry, so that once it is put into effect, we'll be able to see maybe the actualization of the Anti-Gender-Based Violence Fund.
Ms. Mwinga has further projected that cases of gender-based violence, GBV, will persist as there is no budgetary allocation towards the full operationalization of the Anti-GBV Act, particularly for the establishment of the Anti-GBV Fund, as well as the construction of safe houses and shelters as provided for in the Act.
We'll continue seeing cases of gender-based violence being on the rise, women trying as much as possible to remain in violent environments, sticking on to that partner who is mistreating them simply because they don't have an alternative. So one of the reasons why we are having challenges in curbing the vices is that we don't have alternatives. For instance, we have children that are being married off at the age of 14. If you withdraw a child from a marriage, what alternative are you giving her from withdrawing her from that marriage which she entered into because she could not sustain herself? And the Anti-GBV Fund could have been one of those alternatives that we would have loved to have seen and be given to the young women out there who face gender-based violence.
Meanwhile, the Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council, NGOCC, has echoed these concerns in a statement availed to Camnet TV News. Zambia records about 30,000 cases of gender-based violence within 365 days, and the national budget is one chance for government to show its commitment to eradicating these vices. After the presentation of the next year's national budget and concerns raised by stakeholders, would it be safe for one to say there is no administrative or political will to end the vice? Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show Wednesday edition, governance, policy and politics, and we've been talking about the issue on the proposal by the UPND members that the immunity of former Republican President Edgar Lungu should be lifted, and various citizens have been giving us their perspective on the program, and you too can still give us a perspective. We're able to pick one more last call before Koza and I wind up the conversation this morning. However, it has been an interesting conversation, and also looking at issues bordering on the budget. Some of the budget highlights, we see that the 2024 national budget did take into account an increase on the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, from a tune of 28.3 million kwacha to 30.6 million kwacha. That's a significant increase in terms of the allocation. But however, citizens have been of the view that there's more that needs to be done to make sure that CDF lives up to the expectations, because it is a good fund, but others are not able to see how tangible is it as opposed to just the most pronounced 1/3 classroom blocks, and others want to see more with CDF. Well, for me, I think I've been of the view that if we are serious about enhancing the utilization of CDF, part of this, some of the people we have interviewed, Kozi, are of the view that CDF can be used to steer industrialization at community level. I'll go back to that thought. Let's pick this call. You are through to the program. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, and how are you, madam?
I'm okay. I'm Christine Tola.
Madam Tola, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Nakwatama problems zote ngazanga kwako. Inendikala kumupira kumulundu na kukota ya kukongo. Bali tutano unga almost 1 year takuwa bashoku na kuimo ipo kunga. Watu tutali gaja ngaba kukongo basi tulikala mumupira mnyamwene. Inostawa Camnet ngamwaya kwa marasa ngabantu na wata makaloji bloko. Basi bawa kunyitete kuya kukonga. Muleba sanga bene 05 bale batumilika for 3 hours na makasaba ya kamtown westo unga 25 kg baita na bakapa nanga mmoja mungosa kutulile eti abantu bala tula na matransport makumwetu kuya kwa 17 kwa ino tandela kanini kwa nanga matinya kisi bene abantu kishechalo na bala kwa nito kwa mtanda milonga twapapata tulanzileni kuifyasi ya kusinya imini kitapia kuwa kutona citizens bakuno kumufika kumurundu
Tuatasha
tulanzileni kwa twapapata almost 1 year tabatala batuletela kuunga tuenda vyo fansi ukuya mtauni mkusto unga no kuita mkupaga kumurundu nga mwayako inaosita kumurundu mletanga takulishoku na ngrimwa itoto unga basi viso babale kwa tupeleke amareti.
Okay, mutushire message, mututumire message, muichite ko introduce then twalasta follow up.
She's gone.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Anatola. We really do appreciate your contribution, and it's interesting that people will have to walk a distance where if you are jumping on a bus you pay 17 kwacha. Here in Lusaka, that is town to Kablonga, you have to walk that distance to go and buy a bag of millimil and go back home. How many bags of millimil do you consume in a month? So you have to make those trips going into town to go and buy a bag of millimil, come back. When it's done again, you go back into town on foot, go and buy a bag of millimil and come back. So she claims that 1 year they have not received any millimil because they are considered, they are not considered like they are in Zambia. So I suspect that when you are seen taking millimil there, you are regarded as trying to smuggle so you don't have to take millimil there. Anyways, that is for the people in Mufurera. You can also go to our Facebook page and give us your thought on what we are looking at this particular morning. You were, before we received that particular call, on the floor.
Indeed, I was explaining about the CDF to a tune of 30.6 million kwacha. That's quite a huge sum of money, but now, how do we make it count? That's why when I've been asking, for example, about priorities. Where do we prioritize? Is it that probably the status quo is to keep people as poor as possible, to manipulate them, especially during elections? Is it the motive of politicians? For me, if you ask me, if we were serious, why others have been of the view that probably, for example, Mirimu, you see how the distance they have to walk to just get access Mirimu. And this is an important aspect in terms of reducing the cost of living, because now if people are able to eat 3 times a day, I think they have one more less thing to worry. They are able to go even and work healthy, even look for peace works and everything because you have eaten. And now, why can't we, for example, in the face that, why should we, for example, using CDF, why don't we have meeting plans within the constituencies to cut on the cost in terms of movements of the commodities? So we do that. The next phase we do identify each community need. For example, we see that, for example, the block manufacturing industry is being aided by foreigners most of the times. Why don't we make sure that we come up with a big cooperative that will be, for example, if it is in a Munari constituency, it should take up this block making arrangement, and they should be able to supply the entire Munari constituency. Let's go to chicken rearing. Why can't we make sure that, for example, Matero should be known for chicken rearing, and they have a big industry that is doing just that and supplying the entire Lusaka? Isn't that business? Why don't we think about such mechanisms that are able to empower young people and as well as be able to generate activity in the communities? I think we'd be able to go a long way if we are using the funds in such a manner, because it has been difficult for even yourself, because I don't know if you know any friend of yours who is in a cooperative that is in Chawama, and that you can say, how is your cooperative going? Or what significant thing that has come in Chawama? You understand?
I was almost going to ask you what CDF projects you know of that are currently going on in Chawama.
Yeah, that's a good question. But what I observed based on the interactions with the leadership in that community, I'm aware that one of the activities that was even undertaken using the previous CDF was the upgrading of Chawama Basic into a secondary school.
Sure.
And I'm sure this was under 2022 CDF. Then there's also another project that we were told that that's under 2022 CDF, that they need to have a mortuary for Chawama First Level Hospital. As we are talking, because the Chawama has no mortuary. Chawama First Level Hospital has no mortuary, and I'm even wondering why it even qualifies to be a first level hospital when people have to be subjected to taking the departed loved ones to UTH. And it has been a costly undertaking, because you have to book a vehicle and it's not cheap. And with the current high cost of living, people have been complaining. I think one of our reporters was doing that story, should have been last month. So now, the mortuary cause, as I'm talking about, I'm telling you, no foundation has been laid under CDF.
So that is a 2022 project?
Yes. Again, we were told, the only thing that I've seen is that the paving of some roads that were left out under the L400 project that was initiated by the late President Michael Chirofya-Sata. That's they have paved 2 roads somewhere there, like they have paved them. This is a project that I've been able to see that we may say tangible. We haven't seen even a lot of traction, even in the construction of drainages, and the rainy season is coming. Mississippi and Kuku compound will be submerged again. So what we are talking about, this huge fund. So that's why people have been complaining. But I'm happy that the permanent secretary does acknowledge and says if people have ways in which they think the CDF can be improved, they should suggest. But we hope that we should also enhance the monitoring mechanism. I think the grant component also has been among those that they are focusing on. But on the grant component, we need to make sure that also say who is benefiting.
Sure.
I don't know a relative or a friend who is benefiting from that. So all those mechanisms, this was what we talk about monitoring, evaluation, we should be able to track. So you wonder, you find that it is becoming difficult probably to see, for people to see an impact on CDF, because probably it's benefiting a narrow group. You understand? So overall, let's look at community projects that can be able to uplift the livelihoods of the communities within those areas. So the 30.6 million kwacha is a significant amount of money, and we hope we'll make a lot of progress.
So that is about the Constituency Development Fund and it being raised to 30.6 million kwacha for each constituency. We are coming close to the end of this particular program, but before we do that, Patrick, as we leave, what are some of your concluding remarks?
Well, my concluding remarks are that we just urge our viewers to stay tuned for tomorrow as we continue to unpack the budget. We have a guest to be able to look at some of the issues happening in the country. And of course, just a recap, we did start with the health corner with the doctors, and we went straight into the money market to get and to understand how the kwacha is performing. Unfortunately, it has hit 20 kwacha on the buying side, just as it is on the selling side. And we also looked at the sports update. We're looking at some of the games that were played last evening in the Champions League, and today the Champions League continues also. And we also went on to zoom in some of the stories that are making the headlines. And our topic of discussion has been, should the country consider lifting the former President Edgar Lungu's immunity or not? We're talking about Parliament rather now, but and we did get a lot of feedback from our dear viewers who gave us their perspective on the subject of the day, causing.
So that is what we were looking at this morning, and also we did take in quite a number, of course, and interestingly, we have a number of women that are beginning to call.
Yes, interesting, and we are happy that women are taking an interest in governance matters.
Very interesting indeed. And also, speaking of women, remember that the Copper Queens are in South Africa for the Castle Bets Kosafa Cup. Their first game is tomorrow, of course, and also the Copper Queens under 20 are preparing to face Congo DR in the World Cup qualifiers. So those are some of the fixtures that you should look out for as regards the Copper Queens. On that note, we come to the end of today's Camnet breakfast show. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow as we bring to you another interesting program. On behalf of the entire production team, have a blessed day.